Camilla, the new Queen Consort. That's the official term for it. She's been by his side throughout the mourning period for Queen Elizabeth.
Camilla had told friends at this point that she was surprised at the unexpected side to William that she had found.
The British royal family has always been surrounded by mystery, tradition, and public curiosity. But every now and then, something happens that shakes the monarchy to its core. This time, the focus is on Queen Camilla. A shocking new discovery about her has come to light, and it's changing everything people thought they knew about her.
They are the only royals causing chaos behind palace walls and in the public eye.
For years, Camilla has been a controversial figure. Some saw her as a strong and devoted royal. Others never truly accepted her, still remembering the past. But this latest revelation is forcing people to look at her in a completely different way. What was uncovered? And why is it so important? Stay with us, because this is a story you won't want to miss. The unexpected illness. For years, Queen Camilla has been a constant presence in the British monarchy. Whether standing beside King Charles at state events, attending charity engagements, or simply waving at crowds, she has fulfilled her role with composure. But late last year, something changed. At first, the signs were small, too small for most people to notice. She missed an event here, then another. The official statements said it was due to scheduling conflicts, but those who followed the royal family closely knew better. Camilla never missed her commitments without a reason. Then, her absence became more frequent. She was noticeably missing from major royal engagements, including the prestigious Royal Variety performance and the Remembrance Day service at the Cenotaph. These were events she would have attended without question. Something was definitely wrong. The silence from Buckingham Palace only made things worse. When members of the royal family miss public events, the palace usually issues quick statements to reassure the public. This time, there was nothing. Just a brief mention that Camilla was resting. But resting from what? That's when the rumors started. At first, they were whispers in small corners of the internet. Some claimed she was facing a personal crisis. Others suggested she had stepped down from royal duties behind closed doors. A few wild theories even suggested that she had been sent away due to a secret scandal. The public was left in the dark. The media began asking questions, but there were no clear answers. The mystery surrounding Queen Camilla's absence only deepened. Then, finally, an announcement came. The truth was far more serious than anyone had expected. The palace revealed that Queen Camilla had been battling a severe chest infection.
Queen Camilla has been forced to withdraw from key engagements after being diagnosed with a chest infection,
which had later developed into viral pneumonia. This explained her sudden disappearance and her inability to fulfill royal duties. But it also raised an even bigger question. How bad was it? Pneumonia, especially in older adults, is no minor illness. It can be life-threatening, and for someone like Camilla, who had always been seen as active and energetic, this revelation changed everything. Could the Queen Consort ever return to her full role? Had her health struggles been hidden for longer than the public knew? And what did this mean for the future of the monarchy? The British public had barely adjusted to King Charles's reign. Now, with Queen Camilla's health in question, uncertainty hung over the royal family like never before. After the shocking revelation of Queen Camilla's illness, the palace assured the public that she was receiving the best medical care. But for many, this did little to ease their concerns. How serious was her condition? Would she make a full recovery? At 76 years old, Camilla was not at an age where an illness like pneumonia could be taken lightly. The risks were high. Complications, such as fluid in the lungs or long-term respiratory issues, were real possibilities. Even with the best doctors by her side, there were no guarantees. For weeks, updates were scarce. The Queen Consort had retreated from the public eye completely. She was resting, the palace said, following medical advice. But rest alone wouldn't heal her. People wanted to know what was really happening behind closed doors. Then, reports emerged that Camilla was suffering from post-viral fatigue. This condition, common after severe infections, left her feeling exhausted even after minor activities. A simple walk across the room could drain her energy. The woman who once attended back-to-back royal engagements was now struggling to get through the day. The media, which had been swirling with speculation, now had another angle to explore. Some questioned if she would ever fully regain her strength. Others speculated that this illness might mark the beginning of a gradual step back from royal duties. After all, Queen Elizabeth II had slowed down in her later years before her passing. Could Camilla be heading in the same direction? Despite the uncertainty, Camilla remained determined. Even in her weakened state, she refused to be seen as fragile. She wasn't the type to give up easily, and those close to her knew that. Slowly but surely, she followed her doctor's advice, resting, taking prescribed treatments, and avoiding stress. But resting was never easy for a queen.
The 77-year-old is said to be quietly resting at home.
Behind the scenes, she was still involved in royal affairs. Even from her private quarters, she kept in touch with staff, stayed updated on key events, and ensured her charities were still running smoothly. She might have been out of sight, but she was never out of action. The hidden message. Weeks passed, then months, and finally, there was a sign of hope. A quiet but important statement from the palace confirmed that Camilla was improving. The queen consort was regaining her strength, and discussions had begun about her return to public duties. It was a relief, but it also raised new questions. As Queen Camilla slowly regained her strength, she did something that took many by surprise. She adopted a rescue puppy. The news broke quietly at first. It wasn't an official announcement, nor was it a grand public event. Instead, word spread through close sources that the Queen Consort had welcomed an 8-week-old Jack Russell Terrier named Molly into her home. To some, it seemed like a small, personal decision, one that had nothing to do with her illness or recovery, but for those who truly understood Camilla, it spoke volumes. For years, she had been a passionate advocate for animal welfare. She worked closely with Battersea Dogs and Cats Home, a charity that rescues and rehomes abandoned animals. She already had 2 beloved dogs, Beth and Bluebell, both rescued from the same shelter, but Beth had passed away shortly before Camilla's illness. Losing a pet is never easy. For Camilla, Beth had been more than just a dog. She was a companion, a source of comfort. The timing of her passing, so close to Camilla's health struggles, made it even more heartbreaking, and so, in the midst of her recovery, the Queen made a quiet decision. She wasn't just healing her body, she was healing her heart. Bringing Molly into her life wasn't just about having another pet. It was about hope. A fresh start. A reminder that even in difficult times, life moves forward. The choice resonated with many. People saw it as a sign that Camilla was looking ahead, rather than dwelling on her setbacks. She was embracing something new, even as she continued to battle post-viral fatigue.
Queen Camilla has been forced to pull out of more engagements this month amid her ongoing recovery for a viral infection.
Molly quickly became a part of her routine. On difficult days, when exhaustion threatened to take over, Camilla found comfort in the puppy's playful energy. In a time of uncertainty, Molly brought simple, unconditional joy. And then, just when people thought this was nothing more than a personal moment, Camilla made another bold statement. She stepped out for one of her first public appearances, wearing something that caught everyone's attention. When Queen Camilla finally returned to the public eye, everyone expected her to be cautious. After all, she was still recovering. But what they didn't expect was the message she carried without saying a single word. On one of her first official engagements since her illness, Camilla wore a striking amethyst necklace. It was a simple but elegant piece, a deep purple stone set in a delicate chain. At first, it seemed like just another accessory, but those who paid close attention knew better. Was this necklace just a fashion choice, or was it something more? For centuries, amethyst has been known as the stone of healing and protection. It is believed to bring strength to those who wear it, offering both physical and emotional recovery. Throughout history, kings and queens have worn it during times of struggle. Her return to public life wasn't just about duty, it was a statement. She had been through a difficult time. The illness, the exhaustion, the loss of Beth. It all took a toll, but now she was standing in front of the world again, not as someone broken, but as someone who had fought her way back. The amethyst wasn't just jewelry, it was a declaration. The public response was immediate. People who had once been critical of Camilla started to see her in a different light. For years, she had been a controversial figure, forever compared to the late Princess Diana. But now, many began to admire her strength. The supportive monarch. Throughout Queen Camilla's illness and recovery, one person remained by her side, King Charles. But what many didn't know was just how much he had sacrificed to be there. From the outside, the king appeared as composed as ever, carrying out his duties with the same formality the world expected of him. But behind closed doors, Charles was deeply concerned. He had already endured personal health challenges, including his own cancer diagnosis earlier that year.
Breaking news from Buckingham Palace, which has announced that the king has been diagnosed with cancer.
It was a trying time for the monarchy, with two major members of the royal family battling serious health issues. What did this mean for the future of the crown? Instead of stepping back to focus on himself, Charles did something unexpected. He put Camilla first. It was a rare glimpse into the personal life of a man often seen as reserved. Those close to the family revealed that Charles was Camilla's rock during her illness. He ensured she had the best medical care, rearranged his schedule to spend more time with her, and even made personal calls to check in on her progress when royal duties pulled him away. This was more than duty. This was love. For years, their relationship had been scrutinized. From its controversial beginnings to their eventual marriage, many had doubted the strength of their bond. But now, in their most challenging moments, the truth became clear. They were not just partners in title. They were life partners. Was this the moment that changed how the world saw their marriage? The British public took notice. For the first time, many saw Charles and Camilla not as royals, but as two people standing by each other through sickness and health. Public sentiment began to shift. The same newspapers that once criticized Camilla now wrote about her strength. The same headlines that once questioned Charles's devotion now praised his unwavering support. As weeks passed, Queen Camilla's health gradually improved, but even though she was feeling better, her return to royal duties wasn't immediate. Why? Because the Queen wasn't just recovering from an illness. She was redefining her role in the monarchy. Many believed Camilla would take a step back, focusing more on her health and less on royal obligations. But those who truly knew her understood one thing. She was not one to quit. Despite her setbacks, she remained determined to fulfill her duties. In early 2025, Camilla made her first official public appearance after months of absence. Queen Camilla's illness had been more than just a personal battle. It had reshaped the public's perception of her. For years, she had lived under the shadow of controversy. Her past, her marriage, and her role as queen had all been scrutinized. But now, for the first time, she was being seen for something else: her strength. The royal family's decision to be open about her struggles also marked a turning point. The monarchy, often criticized for being distant and formal, had shown a rare glimpse of vulnerability, and this honesty had won people over. So has this discovery changed everything? In many ways, yes. It has reshaped how the public views the Queen. It has added a new layer of humanity to the monarchy, and it has proven that strength isn't just about power. It's about perseverance. What do you think? Has this journey changed the way you see Queen Camilla? Clint Eastwood just sent a shockwave through Hollywood with his candid remarks on John Wayne.
Clint Eastwood is truly an icon of cinema. I feel so fortunate to get to spend time with him and watch how he works.
And let's just say it isn't pretty. Fans are buzzing, asking how Eastwood could dare tarnish the larger-than-life legacy of the Duke. In a bold statement, he hinted at irreconcilable differences that many had only whispered about before. Now, everyone is left wondering, has Eastwood gone too far, or did Wayne's classic cowboy image need a serious reality check? The rise of John Wayne and Hollywood's shifting sands. John Wayne's ascent to stardom was nothing short of meteoric. Born Marion Robert Morrison in 1907, he grew up amid the plain-spoken values of America's heartland. That early environment cultivated a sense of perseverance and self-reliance. As a young man, he ventured into California, then a budding frontier for the motion picture industry. Wayne started modestly, taking on small tasks like working as a prop man or accepting minor background roles just to make ends meet. But everything changed when he teamed up with director John Ford. One breakthrough role, featuring Wayne as a rugged cowboy in Stagecoach, 1939, catapulted him to national fame, planting him firmly in the saddle of Hollywood's favorite Western star. For many viewers, Wayne was more than an actor. He symbolized a brand of tough, direct American heroism at a time when the country craved confidence and straightforward morality. As war loomed on the global stage and Americans tuned their radios for the latest updates, Wayne's bravado struck a deep chord. He wasn't merely reading lines in a film, he was defining an era's ideals. Whether he was represented in black and white or Technicolor, Wayne's presence felt larger than life, just like the wide-open prairies and towering postcard mountains that formed the backdrop of his films. Yet Hollywood didn't stand still. By the end of World War II, and as the tumultuous 1960s and 1970s approached, movie-making evolved. New filmmakers introduced rawer storytelling techniques and more complex characters. The once simple tales of good cowboys and bad outlaws became grittier, reflecting a nation grappling with social change, civil rights, and political upheaval. Studios discovered that audiences no longer wanted to watch the same old white hat versus black hat formula. Instead, there was a growing appetite for flawed heroes and ambiguous moral landscapes. In many ways, John Wayne was riding on a wave that was about to break. The Western genre, which had shaped him, would have to adapt or risk fading into the background. Wayne, famously stubborn, held tight to classical ideals.
The Western is the perfect palette for that American stoicism. It was that romantic challenge of the West, which, as we know, was anything but romantic. It was harsh, it was short-lived, lives were short, disease was rampant, violence was the vernacular of the day.
To him, the Western wasn't just about entertaining audiences, it was a mirror held up to the best parts of American grit, depicting unwavering bravery and duty. Yet while Wayne's image captured the hearts of an earlier generation, a new flock of moviegoers was coming of age. They wanted stories that tackled social conflict, challenged authority, and acknowledged life's gray areas. And that's where Clint Eastwood breezed in, carrying his own brand of unpredictable artistry that would soon shake Hollywood to its core. Clint Eastwood's gritty take on the Western. When Clint Eastwood first stepped into the bright lights of Hollywood, he came from a background that stood in stark contrast to Wayne's. Born in 1930, he experienced the tail end of the Great Depression, moving with his family around California in hope of finding steady work. That sense of uncertainty left a deep imprint on Eastwood, manifesting in the solitary, sometimes restless energy he brought to his roles. His earliest break was on television, starring in Rawhide as Rowdy Yates. But let's face it, Rawhide alone wouldn't seal Eastwood's destiny as a screen icon. Real stardom wouldn't come until he crossed the Atlantic to collaborate with director Sergio Leone on the so-called Dollars trilogy. Leone's approach to the Western turned the genre upside down, and Eastwood was perfectly cast to deliver that shock. His character, a laconic, morally ambiguous gunslinger, wasn't the knight in shining armor American audiences were used to seeing. Instead, he was opportunistic, wry, and often brutal. In A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Eastwood personified raw survival instincts. If John Wayne's heroes were about planting the flag of justice and neighborly duty, Eastwood's gunslingers reflected a harsh, dog-eat-dog reality. This shift was more than stylistic. It was philosophical. The Western of Wayne's day offered a reassuring worldview. Face your problems head-on with a strong moral code, and in the end, justice will be served. Eastwood's style taught a different lesson. The frontier was gritty, messy, and full of moral dilemmas. You did what you had to do to get by, even if it meant playing by your own rules. That cynicism felt strangely honest to Americans mired in the complexities of the Cold War and increasingly skeptical of easy answers. Eastwood's career only gained momentum with time. His eventual pivot to directing gave him the freedom to shape narratives that probed deeper into human nature. Movies like Unforgiven challenged the Western's older archetypes outright, questioning whether gun-wielding heroes were truly heroes or just agents of endless violence.
He has the best Western movie of all time.
What's
Unforgiven.
that? Unforgiven?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I did see
Man,
that.
I'm a fan of Tombstone with Val Kilmer, too. I
that
love
one
that
scene.
movie.
That one scene made that whole movie.
Though Eastwood and Wayne both loved the mythic frontier, their visions for it couldn't have been more distant. Wayne's West was fueled by faith in a distinctly American moral clarity. Eastwood's West was an unforgiving desert of dilemmas, where a single shot could change your fate in ways you'd regret for years. Hollywood recognized this difference too, giving Eastwood a unique place. He inherited the Western from Wayne, but molded it into something fresh, darker, and more self-aware. The clashing values, letter, scripts, and unspoken rivalries. Even while their fans imagined countless collaborations, the truth is, John Wayne and Clint Eastwood never really saw eye to eye. The difference wasn't simply a matter of generational gap, it stemmed from their divergent life philosophies. A high-profile spark of conflict emerged in the 1970s when Eastwood approached Wayne with a script titled The Hostel. This proposed Western was anything but safe and traditional. In Eastwood's vision, moral murkiness mattered more than hero worship. Such a premise didn't sit well with Wayne. According to Hollywood lore, Wayne wrote Eastwood a pointed letter criticizing the script for disrespecting the Western genre. Wayne believed the genre symbolized an unshakable set of values: courage, patriotism, fairness, and the unyielding triumph of good over evil. He saw Eastwood's darker spin as a slap in the face to everything he'd worked for, both on screen and off. Having devoted most of his life to portraying the Western's moral center, Wayne took it personally. To him, these modern, gritty reimaginings undermined the heroic archetypes that had guided the public through challenging times, from the Great Depression to World War II. From Eastwood's perspective, Wayne's stance was stuck in the past. He wanted stories that resonated with an audience living through the Vietnam War and social upheaval, an audience that no longer trusted they'd always be the good guys. Eastwood found Wayne's brand of unwavering patriotism and black-and-white morality distant and possibly naive. Though Eastwood rarely hurled personal insults at Wayne, he refused to compromise on his creative instincts, believing filmgoers deserved characters who felt genuinely conflicted, not just shining knights on horseback. That letter exchange, never publicly revealed in full, became a flashpoint in Hollywood lore. It's said to have killed off any realistic chance these two titans would ever share the screen. Rumors swirled, of course. Some described the conflict as a battle of egos, two big stars refusing to yield. Others saw it as a clash of ideologies, one man's unwavering faith in old-school heroics versus another's drive to showcase humankind's darker corners. Either way, the tension morphed into something personal. Newspaper columns teased readers with lines like, "Who needs a bigger gun, the Duke or Dirty Harry?" The hype only fed public fascination about why Wayne and Eastwood never joined forces for an epic Western. Ironically, that feud became legendary in its own right, giving fans a drama that played out behind the scenes instead of on the silver screen. Personal lives and the shadows they cast. Behind the cowboy hats, spurs, and shotgun stares, John Wayne and Clint Eastwood were also flesh-and-blood individuals navigating messy personal worlds. For Wayne, life looked a bit like a public stage. He married 3 times, fathered 7 children, and stayed loyal to a circle of treasured friends and collaborators.
Who John Wayne actually was, not who people thought he was in their heads from observing him or listening to him speak or hearing him talk to the Republican National Convention, but who he actually was on a day-to-day basis to his family, to his friends, to his co-workers, to the people he met on the street.
Wayne prided himself on a sense of moral certainty, which extended beyond his film roles and into his personal and political statements. He endorsed conservative policies, supported the Vietnam War, and stood vehemently against communism. In interviews, Wayne often saw little room for compromise. If he believed something was right, that was the only stance that mattered. Critics might label that attitude as stubborn or narrow, but Wayne viewed it as principled. After all, he was a product of early 20th century America, shaped by the struggles of the Great Depression and the triumphs of World War II. The unwavering paternal presence fans saw on screen was, for the most part, who Wayne tried to be in real life. He wanted to protect and provide for his family. He strove to maintain a sense of order and championed virtues like honor and loyalty. His children, now grown, talk about him as a strict but caring father who believed he was walking the righteous path. Eastwood, by comparison, wore his personal life more quietly. Known for his reticence in interviews, Eastwood was far less public about his relationships and beliefs. He had multiple romantic involvements and several children with different partners, a reality that sometimes clashed with his calm, collected on-screen persona. Yet many who worked with Eastwood describe him as gracious, supportive, and completely dedicated to the filmmaking craft. On set, he ran a tight ship, efficient, focused, and no nonsense, a style that actually garnered respect and loyalty from cast and crew. Politically, Eastwood identified loosely as a libertarian, preferring minimal government interference. That viewpoint meshed with his film characters' independent streaks. Still, he didn't go out of his way to pick political fights. Instead, he let his films unravel the messy complexities behind issues like war, violence, and redemption. In his personal life, Eastwood rarely preached about how others should live. Instead, he stressed finding one's path, even if it led to an unconventional destination. This unstructured family dynamic and more flexible moral outlook set him worlds apart from Wayne. While Wayne's life was famously framed by old-school American ideals, Eastwood's was defined by personal freedom and adaptability, an echo of the shifting times that shaped him.
Eastwood worked a variety of jobs growing up, but by 20 years old, he entered the Army.
Legacy, cultural shifts, and modern reassessments. To understand the magnitude of Clint Eastwood's recent remarks on John Wayne, it helps to see them in the broader context of ever-changing American culture. Wayne once reigned supreme in a Hollywood that largely reaffirmed national pride and a cohesive moral framework. His brand of bullish confidence and patriotic zeal was an antidote for a country emerging from the horrors of war, looking for heroes instead of cynics. A Wayne character left no doubt that he'd fight for the American way, and hordes of admirers saw him as the personification of that ideal, both on and off the movie screen. But times changed. The baby boomer generation, shaped by the Vietnam War and social revolutions, questioned the idea of absolute heroes and unwavering right versus wrong narratives. Society began peeling back layers of moral simplicity, wanting instead to explore nuance. Racial injustice, political lies, and economic disparities came to light, complicating the notion of a purely heroic nation. In that climate, Eastwood's approach, showing flawed men grappling with hidden demons, felt refreshing. Moviegoers found his morally gray gunslingers and anti-heroes more relatable. Gone were the days when you could simply cheer for the man in a white hat. Instead, you had to question what was lurking in his mind. Hollywood also shifted in terms of film technique and storytelling. Directors like Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, and Eastwood himself embraced slow, simmering tension, psychological layering, and ambiguous endings. Heroes didn't always win. Sometimes they limped off into the sunset, haunted by regrets. Or they achieved success but paid a terrible cost. This creative environment further eroded Wayne's brand of unstoppable hero. While no one doubted Wayne's significance, younger cinephiles started to see his films as relics of a naiver era. When Eastwood broke his silence on John Wayne, implying that Wayne's outlook was too simplistic for the world they faced, It reopened old wounds. Some fans interpreted it as an unnecessary cheap shot at a legend who wasn't alive to defend himself. Others thought Eastwood was simply giving voice to an ongoing cultural reevaluation. Let us know in the comment section. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. Remember to like, share it, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.